causing your brain to act in this way of, protecting the brain and making the amyloid beta plaques and having some memory issues and that kind of thing. So I did want to say that. So as you're popping in, just say hey in the chat. I like to know that you're here. That it makes me feel so good that you're here with me, okay? So say hey if you're catching the replay. Comment and say hey, hashtag replay. Let me know that you watched. That honestly just makes me feel not alone. And that is the whole point of this whole group and community and this masterclass, because honestly, dementia and Alzheimer's can make you feel so alone just because it attacks your mind, right? So we want to make sure that we are not leaving each other to fight this alone. So we are going to do this together. And today we're going to talk about toxins. But before we do that, I do want to recap a little bit from the week. I touched a little bit on, hey Dana, nice to see you here. Thank you for being here with me today. And yeah, so I talked a little bit about those 36 factors that we talked about on day 1. Day 2, we talked about, hey Janet, how are ya? Thanks for being here. And so we talked about nutrition on day 2, that your brain feeds best off of ketones or functions best off of ketones. And then yesterday we talked about how important gut health is. And those two kind of play together. Actually, they play together a lot. So today we're going to talk about toxins, and I do want to caveat this entire discussion before we get into it, that the point of tonight is not to scare you into never going outside, okay? That is not the point. The whole point is to be able to take control of what you can control. And that's kind of what this whole masterclass is about too. So just keep that in mind. We can take action about what we can control. If things are out of our control, such as genetics, we can't control them. We just use them as information. That's it. Okay, so I wanted to check in on your homework. You guys were doing great. And I had mentioned or commented on one of the posts that I'd be addressing some swaps this evening. So I want to go ahead and do that and get that question answered. So many keto recipes out there aren't designed in the keto flex fashion, right? They're solely there to get you into ketosis, and they don't really care how they get you into ketosis. And honestly, I think this is why so many people fail on keto, is because they're really only eating beef and cheese. That's it. And beef and cheese aren't bad, but they shouldn't be the brunt of your diet, right? So many keto recipes that you're going to find out there do include cheese, which on Keto Flex is one of those occasional foods. At best, it's not really an everyday one, okay? So I wanted to give you a couple of simple swaps that I use myself, and they are quite delicious. So keep an open mind, because some of them sound a little crazy, okay? So the first one is instead of using like heavy cream or milk to make a creamy sauce, I will use coconut milk or coconut cream. You can get it canned. I actually go to an Asian or Middle Eastern market, and I get mine there. It's actually a lot cheaper. Hint, hint. So I usually go there once every couple months and kind of stock up. Anyway, then Kite Hill is a brand that I love, love, love. Down here in the South, you can get it at Publix. I don't really know where else they are. They are not at Kroger, I can tell you that. But they make almond-based products, okay? And, coconuts, almonds, nuts, these are all both protein and fat. So these are great for getting that creamy, cheesy texture and flavor without having the inflammatory action of the dairy and still getting you that fat so that you stay in ketosis. So Kite Hill makes almond-based yogurt, cream cheese, and sour cream. And they might make other products. I haven't really looked into that, but I use their yogurt and their cream cheese all the time. I haven't actually tried their sour cream yet, but it's on my list. So I use their yogurt, and their cream cheese in sauces, in dips. It's just a really good flavor. So like I'll make my homemade ranch with their yogurt. I will make like an avocado crema with their yogurt. Um, Great brand. Love Kite Hill, not endorsed. They're just delicious. Okay, so the last one is probably the craziest, and it's something that you make. It's cashew cheese, and you basically make this by soaking cashews and then blending them up with other ingredients, such as nutritional yeast. And nutritional yeast, it is a yeast, but it's a deactivated yeast, so it's not like an active that you would use to bake or anything, but it has a nutty Parmesan flavor. So I actually will sprinkle it on salads if I want that Parmesan flavor on there. But when you add it with the cashews, you get this like delicious cheesy taste, and it's great. So there's tons of different recipes for cashew cheeses, cashew cheese sauce, and all that good stuff out there. Um, and then the other ingredients that go in it just kind of depend on which particular recipe you're looking at. But those are some of my favorite swaps. They're super easy, super delicious, and then you don't have to worry about having that extra dairy. So if you go out to eat and there's a little bit of dairy, that's okay. Yay! Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions there, but while you're typing any questions in the chat, I will announce today's winner. So let me go over to where I wrote that down. Alrighty, and today's winner is Kathy Eubanks. I'm so glad we met the other day, like just out of the blue. Thank you, Christine. But what Kathy won is a digital copy of my habit tracker. So, Kathy, I will be sending you a link to be able to download this. This is what the pages look like, and you can write out your goals and track them and whatnot. This is actually the tracker that I use to track my own habits. So hope you enjoy. I will get that information to you, and congratulations. Thanks for being active. You are so welcome, Kathy. So yeah, I will get that to you as soon as, well, I'll get it to you tonight. No worries. I'm gonna eat after this, but then I will get that to you. Okay. So I don't think we have any questions so far, but of course, if questions come up, just pop them in the chat and I will answer them either as they pop up or if it goes along with something later in tonight's discussion, then I will answer it then. Okay, so let's dive into toxins. Let's talk about how toxins affect the brain. Okay. There's actually many ways that toxins affect the brain, and we would be here all night if I was going to go into every single little detail, so I'm not going to do that because it also depends on the particular toxin, and y'all, there's so many. It is ridiculous. So I'll just kind of summarize, but some kill nerve cells directly, others block nerve cell signaling in the brain. And many have actually been shown to cut that amyloid precursor protein that we talked about on Monday into those pro-Alzheimer's fragments. So these are not good guys, okay? And there are many, 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 many toxins out there. A lot of them you will actually know by the name of carcinogens. Dr. Bredesen, who has pioneered all this research, he actually now calls them dementogens, which I think is so appropriate. So let's dive into what some of those are, because if we're going to do something about a toxin, we need to know how to identify a toxin, right? So there are different categories. There's chemical toxins, there's physical toxins, and biological toxins. I'm going to kind of go over these. And if you got a copy of that guide that I mentioned yesterday or requested a copy, this list should be in there, I believe. Maybe. If not, let me know and I can type it out for you. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a long week, guys. I don't know if you guys. So I'm going to take a quick detour real quick, but I have been talking to you guys about taking imperfect action all week. And I just wanted to kind of give you guys an example of what or how messy that can actually look like. So last week, my house flooded. So I am actually living in my parents' house right now. I am standing in my sister's bedroom with a table on her bed that is holding my computer. Okay. So also we have extended family in the area. They're coming to hang out and we love that. But it's a little crazy right now, right? Because I think I mentioned it on Tuesday, but my grandmother did pass on Monday, which again still gives me goosebumps because she is my why. She had Alzheimer's and died of Alzheimer's. And the fact that she passed on the day that I launched this, she actually passed 2 hours after I called her and told her about the launch. So that was super cool. I'm getting more goosebumps. Anyway, but the point is, I'm still doing this. I'm still taking action, even though it is very, 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 very messy. Okay, like you just do it. You try it and see what happens. If it doesn't work, try something else. And that is how imperfect action works. Okay, so I don't even remember why. Oh yes, the I was letting you guys know that my brain might be a little fried, even though I'm trying to fuel it the best I can right now. So if it is not in that guide, let me know, and I will drop the different categories in the comments after the video is over. Okay, so let's dive into chemical toxins. So these can include cleaning products, plastics, which hello is everywhere, right? I'm the table that I'm working on is plastic. Flame retardants, personal care products, and this includes your shampoo, your body wash, your makeup, your lotion, anything that you put on your skin. Kathy, I'm thankful that you're here and pushing through. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Really, really appreciate that. So thank you for the support too, for being here, you guys, because you are making this worth it, right? So thank you. Okay. Anyway, personal care products, yes, big category there. Pesticides, herbicides, and those can be either in your own garden or own landscaping, or it can be on the food you're eating. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, y'all, that is a toxin. That is not sweet. It is very sweet technically, but it is not sweet for your body. Okay. Heavy metals like mercury, lead, cadmium, and arsenic, and medications. Pharmacist here. Definitely medications, and some of the worst offenders are or can be antibiotics and statins. Now, if you need to be on one of these medications, like as a life-saving measure, please don't stop the medication. Okay, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying be aware of what it is doing to your body, and if you can work towards coming off of that, please don't come off of it without talking to your doctor. Okay, cool. Glad we have that understanding. Anyway, yes, so all of those are chemical toxins that have all been linked to and reduced brain function, okay, including the statins. I'll nerd out a little bit on you. real quick. So statins, actually, the way they work, the enzyme that they block to reduce your cholesterol, yes, it actually lowers your inflammation a little bit, but it blocks your ability to make coenzyme Q10. Now, I know you guys have heard of CoQ10 or coenzyme Q10. It is actually a very vital component of how you make energy. Okay. One of your biggest, well, two of your biggest users of energy are your muscles and your heart. And one of the biggest, well, and your brain, right? Those are the big three. So we do see memory issues with statins, so that makes sense. And we see a lot of muscle cramps, right? That's because your muscles aren't getting the energy they need to contract. Makes sense, right? So, anyway, and then antibiotics, and a note on antibiotics, it's not just if you're taking them, it's if your food took them too. So keep that in mind as well. That's why we've mentioned like pastured and organic animal proteins and that kind of thing. That will help reduce the load of antibiotics that those animals have received. Okay, and antibiotics wreck your gut microbiome, and we just talked about yesterday how important your gut health is. So anyway, on to physical toxins. These include radiation, like from the sun, and even electromagnetics. So having your phone right next to your ear or sleeping beside your phone, which I am guilty of, at night, like you are getting that electromagnetic radiation for 8 hours. That's a long time. Okay. So then let's talk about biological toxins. Now, these come from living things. Okay. This is where your mold toxins come into play. And this also is where gut pathogens come in. So we talked about gut health. This is another aspect of the gut pathogens. They can secrete these different biological chemicals because it comes from a living thing, right? But they secrete these substances that are very toxic to the body and to the nerves, and they can cause lots and lots of damage, whether to the cells themselves or the DNA or anything like that. And we actually produce our own toxins every day from just daily cellular processes in the body. So our bodies are designed to handle and detoxify many, many substances. Okay. The body is amazing. We are not going to just become overwhelmed by toxins. However, the problem is the overall load of the toxins that we are exposed to every day. So it can get to the point where your body's not as able to handle these toxins as it might have once, okay? Because toxins are literally everywhere. They are everywhere in our world. And, I wouldn't change all of the awesome innovations that we've been able to come up with. We just need to be aware of what's out there, okay? The goal is not to completely get rid of toxins. Trust me, you cannot do that. What the goal is to just reduce your toxic load by controlling the things that you can control. And if you can't control it, please don't worry about it. End of story, right? Okay, so let's talk about some tips on what you can control and how to start there, okay? Because again, the point of tonight is not to scare you; it's to empower you to say, okay, that is something I can control. That is not. I'm going to choose to worry about this one, and I'm going to take action, even if it's messy. Okay, so I'm just going to dive right in. One big thing that you can do is look at your food. Okay, we talked a little bit about this on day 2, but eating organic, non-GMO produce as much as you can. If you cannot get organic everything. I'm certainly not in that boat yet. I would love to be, but I'm not. Um, and then prioritize the dirty dozen. The Environmental Working Group puts out a list of the Clean 15 and the dirty dozen every single year. If you prioritize the dirty dozen, those are the 12 dirtiest, most toxic vegetables that hold on to those toxins, those herbicides and pesticides, antibiotics, whatever it is that they put on plants these days. And so if you're going to minimize what you what you're able to buy organic, prioritize those, okay? That will get you farther than anything else. And a good rule of thumb, it kind of correlates with the dirty dozen, kind of doesn't. If you eat the outside, get it organic. If you don't eat the outside, that's fine. So, like, let's see. Well, peppers, grapes, those are different things that you probably eat the outside. I don't know a lot of people who skin their grapes. But like a watermelon, I'm not going to eat the green part. I'm not going to eat the rind. Okay. So that one would be one that, like, if you were going to prioritize, I would get organic peppers, organic grapes, and regular watermelon. Cool. All right. Same thing with meat and eggs. I would get organic pastured meat and eggs and wild caught fish. I had a question earlier about locally raised fish. It was a very good question. So if you know how those fish were raised and they don't have antibiotics, they were just allowed to grow, that's fine. But the ones that you buy in the store, I would prioritize wild caught because the farm raised, they're given antibiotics. And one thing I did not mention, a lot of these toxins, especially the chemicals that have been created in a laboratory, their half-lives are very, very long. And what a half-life is how long it takes for half of that substance or half of that material to break down. Okay. I know, I think glyphosate is I think it's an herbicide or pesticide. It's a pesticide. And I think that's in Roundup. Yes. So glyphosate is in Roundup. That thing has a half-life of 30 years. 30 years. And then you still have half left. So, you know, all of the Roundup that we've used, that I know that I've used in the past on our driveway and our flower beds and everything, and all the Roundup that you know is on your food, that is staying in your body because it's not breaking down. Now, if you have a really, really good detoxification system, then, you know, you might be able to get some of it out. But sometimes you have to be very targeted about how you get things out of the body. Okay, more on food. Try to avoid processed food as much as you can. They do add chemicals, and, you know, if you can't pronounce it or if your grandmother wouldn't recognize it as a food, don't eat it. We eat food, not food-like substances, right? Okay, so more food. Evaluate. Food is so important, guys. I want you to evaluate how much and how often you eat high mercury fish, okay? This is things like tuna, swordfish, and shark. Probably the most common of those is the tuna. But they're not, I'm not saying you can't ever eat them, but if you eat tuna like 4 times a week all the time, it is pretty likely that you have pretty high mercury levels, okay? And mercury is very bad. You know, the Mad Hatter thing, that is real, and they used mercury to help with their hat making processes. So the Mad Hatter kind of crazy dementia-like state came from mercury poisoning. Okay, so drink filtered water at least 32 ounces a day. Filtered water is really important. our water systems are like the cleaning facilities, they can only get so much out of the water. Um, and I think as a pharmacist, the most frightening and disgusting thing about knowing what they can't filter out of water is other people's medications. So, a lot of medications are eliminated either through the urine or through the stool, and those all go into the sewer. Um, and they can't filter out medications. So, anyone's medications that are in your tap water, you are drinking. And please don't let anyone say toxins or medications or anything in the water that's in super low doses can't affect you, because our hormones are measured in like picograms and nanograms. I mean, these are very, very small amounts. And these are the levels that they're determining are safe for toxins. And they say that they don't actually cause harm in the body at those levels. I'm going to call BS on that, because our hormones can work at that level. You can't tell me that they're not going to work. So, anyway, I'm going to get off of that soapbox now. Okay. Anyway, so yes, please filter your water. I do have a few favorites. Really, any filter is better than no filter, but the best of the best of the best is a Rain Soft system. It's for your whole house, and that means that even the water that's getting on your skin, because you can absorb toxins from water via your skin, everything is filtered. I would say my next favorite, like step down, is a Berkey water filter. You do have to manually fill that up, but it's also really good. And let's see, if you need links to those, you can go to my website, oakleywellness.com. Go to the My Favorites tab, and I have linked those there for you. All right. Let's get away from food and water for a little bit, shall we? Okay, so another thing you can try and do is eliminate as much plastic from your house as you can. And remember, this is just what you can control. So I usually recommend starting in the kitchen with your food storage containers, switching those, slowly over to glass. You don't have to do everything all at once. That gets expensive. Okay. But glass or stainless steel are preferred. I don't think I made a note of this, but even your cookware, so Teflon pans or anything, even ceramic coating, can chip and you can ingest it, okay? The best kinds of cookware to have are cast iron and stainless steel. And then I went back to food. I always go back to food. I'm a foodie. What can I say? Okay, so other than plastics, let's talk about air for a second. So HEPA filters are the best filters. Use them in your air vents, or if you need to have a mobile one, you can do that. I would also keep an eye out for visible mold, because that can indicate a larger problem, especially if it's like around your like windowsills or anything like that. So please keep an eye out for those. And then sweat. I want you to sweat. Whether this is exercise, or if you're down here in Alabama with me, just standing outside for like 5 minutes, or going and sitting in a sauna. Those are all great ways to sweat, but sweat is one of the ways that we detoxify ourselves. So if we're not sweating, we're not detoxifying. So please sweat. Okay. Then I would like you guys to evaluate how much alcohol you drink. Again, we talked on day 2 that like not some is totally fine, but the more alcohol you drink, the more toxic it becomes to your body and your liver. And of course, on a day that we're talking about toxins, we have to talk about alcohol. Okay. All right. Then last but not least, this very large category of personal care products, okay? Look for cleaner options. They do not have to be perfect. If they are better than what you are currently using, I am happy, okay? This includes, again, makeup, hairspray, antiperspirant. That's a big one. I forgot about antiperspirant. So when you are layering on traditional deodorant that has that aluminum antiperspirant, you are literally poisoning yourself with aluminum. And there are such tests that we can like actually test how much aluminum is like in your blood, in your hair. And I actually see aluminum toxicity a lot, you guys, okay? And almost actually, I have not seen one that was high in aluminum that did not use traditional deodorant. So, um, and again, I do have suggestions for products for all of those on my website underneath the My Favorites tab if you want to go check those out. Okay, so I do not have time to totally dive into like a supplement protocol to detox and everything. Plus, I would not want you to try and do a supplement led detox without working with someone. Those can be very dangerous. You can get very sick if not done properly. You do have to stage it correctly and make sure that things are flowing before you start detoxing, or you will get very, very sick. So, one gentle way to actually encourage detoxification, and by the way, detoxification is how we basically make a substance inactive, we stick a handle on it, and we drag it out of the body. Okay, so that process is two enzymatic phases in the liver. And then the second phase is sticking the handle on it. And then you do have to make sure that you are eliminating regularly. And I will go ahead and say it. This means that you need to pee and poop. Okay? Pooping is a vital sign. Yes, it is. All right. So let's talk about different foods then as a gentle way to help your body detoxify. So a lot of these foods will actually help your liver detoxify. And as an added bonus, they all have fiber in them, so they also help with elimination as well. So some of my favorites are cilantro. I'm so sorry, people that have the gene that makes it taste like Windex. I'm so sorry. Anyway, cilantro, very good, but it's not the only one, so if you don't like cilantro, it's okay. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, bok choy. Bok choy is a fabulous Asian vegetable, so delicious. Anyway, avocados, artichokes, beets, garlic, ginger, grapefruit, lemons, olive oil, and seaweed are all fantastic detoxifiers, okay? Another pharmacist caveat, if you like grapefruit, please check with your doctor or your pharmacist about whether it interacts with any of your medications. Grapefruit actually does inhibit one of the major enzymes that processes medications, and so it does interact with a lot of different things. Okay, so I went over a lot today. We went over, how toxins affect the brain, what different kinds of toxins there are out there, and then what the overall goal is. Remember, just reduce the toxic load by controlling what you can control and not worrying about the rest. And then we talked about some tips that you can get started with and some food that you can eat to help your body detoxify as well. Do you have any questions for me before I start going over your homework? And thank you guys for being so active with the homework. I try to make them very useful, and these are things that you need to start thinking about in order to take action. Plus, if I give you homework, you are taking action, so it's a good practice run, okay? All right, so I'm not seeing any questions. So if you guys have questions later, feel free to pop them in, or just have a new comment on the page or the group in general, and we'll just dive into your homework then. Okay, so your homework for tonight is to identify 3 areas that may be contributing most to your own toxic load that you want to focus on and get started on first. Okay. If you feel comfortable sharing what those are, please feel free to do that when you comment on the homework post that I'm going to post. And if not, then just say done or finished or something like that. Kathy, the medications of others in the urine that gets into the water, what I can't, okay, computer, was a surprise for me. Yes, absolutely. So I will say my husband and I did put a rain soft system on our house, and that honestly was probably the deciding factor for us because we're both in healthcare. Yeah, I mean, knowing the different medications that are even out there, I mean, there's blood thinners, there's things that affect your heart rate. I mean, it's kind of scary. They may not be able to, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to be able to impart the action that they were intended, but they're still overloading your detoxification system, and they're still in there. So yes, that it's scary. It's kind of surprising. I'm totally with you on that, Kathy. So okay, again, homework: 3 areas. Three, 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 magic number. Okay, so again, I don't think we had any questions. So I wanted to thank you guys for being with me today, or if you're catching the replay, for watching. And before we go, I want you to just take a second to imagine with me what it'll feel like when you've proven everyone wrong, and everyone who's been telling you that there's no hope, that dying of Alzheimer's and not understanding where you are or who you're with is your future, right? Because we know that's no longer true. There is something that you can do. And Kathy, yes, chemo is definitely a worry that also can get into your water system. So yes, one thing you can absolutely do to take action to be able to prove everyone wrong is to put a water filter system somewhere in your house, right? Whatever level that you want to do is a great first step. But there is hope, and dying of Alzheimer's does not have to be your future, okay? Again, we've gone over a lot of great info so far this week, and I know some of you can take what you're learning and just run with it, but a lot of you probably are wanting more. And what we've gone over are some of the foundational basics from Dr. Bredesen's research, but to give yourself the best chance at prevention and reversal, personalizing his protocol is a must, and I can help you get there. So you don't have to leave this masterclass not knowing what your next step is, okay? We can create a personalized roadmap to guide you on this entire journey, because it is a journey. This is not going to be something that just happens overnight. It is a journey. Okay. So if working together to prevent or reverse Alzheimer's, whichever place you're at, is in alignment with what you're wanting, I'm really excited to be able to work together. And I want to make sure that all of your questions get answered, okay? I do work with clients in a variety of ways, and this journey will look different for everyone. I'm learning that firsthand, okay? So if you're interested in working with me in any capacity, I would love, love, love it if you booked a discovery call with me, so we can make sure that you have absolute clarity on what your next steps are. I will drop the link to my calendar in the comments if you wish to do that. And are there any last questions or anything like that? Any questions, comments? I will take a page out of one of my dear pharmacy professor's notebook and say emotional outbursts. That's a Dr. Amber Hutchison from Auburn University Pharmacy School, the Harrison School of Pharmacy. I'm just gonna do a little shout out there. Anyway, but we always laughed when she said that. She was a hoot. Anyway, so thank you guys for being here again, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 7:30 for our last day. We are going to be talking about a cognoscopy, what that is, and why it's important, okay? I'll see you guys then. Bye.